I was angry at my body for giving out at me. I was angry at the timing, and I was generally disheartened by the situation. But it was crucial to allow myself to process these emotions without judgment. Pretending everything was fine would have only made things worse. I took some time to sit down, take a breath, and really assess the situation. I knew I had to keep going, but I also knew I had to be smart about it. That's the thing about setbacks. They force you to slow down, to take stock of where you're at and what you need to do next. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Empower and Elevate podcast, where we explore personal and professional growth, leadership, and the journey to becoming the best versions of ourselves. I'm your host, Marc Thomas, and today we're diving into a topic that everyone at some point in their lives will face: setbacks. Setbacks come in many forms: injuries, disappointments, failures, and unexpected changes. They can knock us off our feet and leave us questioning our path. But as the saying goes, it's not about how many times you fall, but how many times you get back up. Today, I want to talk to you about the mental aspect of dealing with setbacks. How do we handle the emotional toll? How do we find the strength to keep going? And most importantly, how do we turn these setbacks into setups for a stronger comeback? Let's start by talking about the nature of setbacks. Often, we think about setbacks as something negative, something that takes away from our progress or pulls us back. But what if we reframe that thinking? What if setbacks are not so much about pulling us back as they are preparing us for a stronger leap forward? It's a mental shift that can make a world of difference in how we approach these challenging moments. Now let's dive into injuries. Whether it's a physical injury that hinders your ability to perform daily tasks or a mental injury that affects your emotional well-being, the impact can be profound. I've had my fair share of injuries, and I can tell you firsthand how frustrating it is to be feeling held back. One experience that stands out was when I was backpacking to Blue Glacier in the Olympic Mountains of Washington. It was supposed to be a challenging but rewarding adventure. The mountains were majestic, the air was crisp, and the anticipation of reaching the glacier kept me going. But little did I know I had torn cartilage in my knee during the hike. The pain started off as a dull ache, one of those pains you try to shake off and push through. But soon it intensified, and before I knew it, my knee began to swell with fluid. The pain was relentless, each step more excruciating than the last. And to make matters worse, I was already battling a sinus infection that was kicking my ass. I remember thinking, why now? Why in the middle of this incredible adventure was my body betraying me? The combination of intense pain and being physically drained from the infection made the journey incredibly difficult. There were moments when I questioned whether or not I could even make it back. I was miles away from any help, deep in the wilderness, and every step felt like a test of my will. Luckily, I wasn't alone. I had 3 friends with me on that trip, and they saw the struggle I was going through. They immediately stepped up to help, each of them taking on part of my pack load. They watched over me, and they made sure I was okay every step of the way. I can't tell you how much their support meant to me, but at the same time, I felt horrible for impacting their trip. Here we were in this beautiful place, and we'd all been looking forward to exploring it, but they had to take care of me. That added a layer of guilt to the physical pain I was already dealing with. The first step in dealing with an injury like this is to acknowledge your feelings. It's okay to feel frustrated, angry, or even hopeless. I certainly did. I was angry at my body for giving out at me. I was angry at the timing, and I was generally disheartened by the situation. But it was crucial to allow myself to process these emotions without judgment. Pretending everything was fine would have only made things worse. I took some time to sit down, take a breath, and really assess the situation. I knew I had to keep going, but I also knew I had to be smart about it. That's the thing about setbacks. They force you to slow down, to take stock of where you're at and what you need to do next. It's not about rushing through the pain. It's about navigating it with wisdom. I was beyond frustrated, but I had to channel that frustration into finding the strength to keep moving forward. I focused on small, achievable goals. For me, it was simply getting through the next mile, then the next, and so on. Each step was a victory, even if it was painful. Those small wins, like making it to the next stop, gave me the motivation to keep pushing. Fortunately, after the hike, I was able to get the medical attention I needed. I was incredibly lucky to have a wonderful surgeon who not only understood the severity of my injury, but also provided the care and expertise that led to a full recovery. The journey wasn't easy, but with the right support and treatment, I was able to get back on my feet. That experience taught me a lot about resilience and the importance of mindset. Despite the pain and setbacks, I was able to complete the hike, recover from the injury, and eventually regain my strength. It wasn't easy, but it reinforced the idea that setbacks, no matter how severe, don't have to define the outcome. They can shape you, yes, but they don't have to limit you. This brings me to another important aspect, the mental toll of disappointments. Disappointments are another form of setbacks that can be incredibly challenging. Whether it's missing out on a promotion or failing an exam or experiencing a personal loss, disappointments can leave us questioning our worth and our abilities. It's important to remember that disappointments are not reflections of our value. They are part of our journey, lessons to be learned, and opportunities for growth. Let's take a moment to think about how we typically react to disappointment. Often we internalize it. We start to question ourselves, our decisions, and sometimes even our identity. It's easy to spiral into a negative mindset when we feel like we're just not good enough. But here's the thing. Disappointment is inevitable. It's part of life that everyone, no matter how successful, experiences. The key is not in avoiding disappointment, but in learning how to respond to it constructively. One of the best ways to deal with disappointment is to reframe it. Instead of seeing it as a failure, view it as feedback. What can you learn from this experience? How can you use this knowledge to improve and move forward? Remember, every successful person has faced setbacks. What sets them apart is their resilience and their ability to learn from their experiences. Let's dive deeper into the idea of reframing. When you face a setback, especially one that feels deeply personal, it's easy to get caught up in the emotions of the moment. But reframing it is about stepping back, gaining perspective, and asking yourself, what is this trying to teach me? It might be teaching you patience, perseverance, or even that you need to change direction. Every setback carries a lesson, but it's up to us to uncover it. Let me share a practical strategy here that I found immensely helpful when dealing with setbacks: journaling. Now, I know not everyone is a writer, but there's something incredibly powerful about putting your thoughts down on paper. When I was recovering from my knee injury, I started journaling about my experiences, my frustrations, and my small victories. Writing it all down helped me process what I was going through, and it also gave me a way to track my progress. Sometimes, when you're in the thick of the setback, it's hard to see the small improvements you're making. But when you write them down, you can look back and just see how far you've come. Another strategy that works wonders is visualization. This isn't just about positive thinking, it's about mentally rehearsing your comeback. After my injury, I spent a lot of time visualizing myself on my feet, strong and capable. I imagined what it would feel like to walk without pain, to regain my strength and get back to the activities I loved. Visualization can help you stay focused on your goals and remind you that better days are ahead. The mental aspect of overcoming setbacks is crucial. Our mindset determines how we respond to challenges. Adopting a growth mindset when you see challenges as opportunities to learn and grow can make a significant difference. This just isn't about positive thinking. It's about realistic optimism. It's about acknowledging the difficulty of the situation while also believing in your ability to overcome it. Surround yourself with positive influences, whether it's friends, family, or mentors who encourage and support you. Engage in activities that boost your mental well-being, like meditation, exercise, or simply spending time in nature. These aren't just distractions. They are tools to help you rebuild your strength, both mentally and physically. Let me share another personal story with you. A few years ago, I faced a significant professional setback. I was working on a project I was incredibly passionate about, and despite my best efforts, it failed. I was devastated. For a while, I questioned my abilities and my worth. But then I decided to shift my perspective. I looked at what went wrong and what I could learn from the experience and how I could apply these lessons to future projects. It wasn't easy, but it definitely was worth it. That setback led me to where I am today, and for that, I'm grateful. Reflecting on the experience, I realized the importance of resilience and the ability to pivot. It's not just about bouncing back, but it's also about using the setbacks as a stepping stone for growth. I took the lessons learned and applied them to new ventures, and ultimately led to greater success. There's another aspect of setbacks that I think is important to discuss: the role of self-compassion. When we face setbacks, especially those that affect us deeply, it's easy to be hard on ourselves. We tend to replay the situation over and over in our minds, criticizing ourselves and what we could have done differently. But this kind of thinking doesn't help us move forward. In fact, it often keeps us stuck. Self-compassion is about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend that's going through a rough time. It's about recognizing the setbacks are part of human experience and it's okay to struggle. When I was dealing with my injury, I had to remind myself that it was okay to take the time I needed to heal, both physically and mentally. I had to let go of the guilt I felt about impacting my friends and focus on my recovery. One way to practice self-compassion is through mindful self-reflection. This involves acknowledging your thoughts and feelings without judgment and offering yourself words of kindness and encouragement. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm so weak for getting injured," try reframing it. "I'm doing the best I can in a difficult situation." This shift in perspective can make a significant difference in how you cope with setbacks. Another important element in overcoming setbacks is building a support system. We often think we need to handle everything on our own, but the truth is, we all need help sometimes. Whether it's friends, family, or colleagues, having people you can turn to during difficult times is invaluable. My friends were there for me during the backpacking trip, and their support made all the difference. They helped carry my load, both literally and figuratively, and that reminded me that I wasn't alone in my struggle. If you're going through a setback, don't be afraid to reach out for support. It could be as simple as talking to a friend or seeking advice from a mentor. Sometimes just knowing that someone is there to listen can be incredibly comforting. Now I want to talk to you about the importance of setting realistic expectations during a setback. While we're in the midst of a challenge, it's natural to want to fix everything immediately. But setbacks often require us to take a step back and reassess our goals. During my recovery, I had to accept the fact that I wasn't going to be back to my old self overnight. I had to set small, achievable goals and celebrate each one as a victory. This approach not only helped me stay motivated, but it also kept me from feeling overwhelmed by the bigger picture. Setting realistic expectations doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means being patient with yourself and understanding that progress takes time. It's about recognizing that setbacks are a process, not a quick fix. Another strategy that can be helpful is to focus on what you can control. When we face setbacks, it's easy to get caught up in what's out of our hands. But worrying about these things we can't change adds to the stress. Instead, try to focus on the aspects of the situation that you can influence. During my injury, I couldn't control the fact I was in pain, but I could control how I responded to it. I could choose to take care of myself, follow my treatment plan, and stay positive. The idea of focusing on what you can control can apply to any setback. Whether it's a professional failure, a personal disappointment, or a physical injury, there are always aspects of the situation that you can manage. By directing your energy towards those areas, you can empower yourself to take positive action. Finally, I want to emphasize the importance of perseverance. Setbacks are often a test of our determination and willpower. It's easy to give up when things get tough, but true growth comes from pushing through those difficult moments. Perseverance doesn't mean never feeling discouraged. It means continuing to move forward, even when you do. In my experience, perseverance is about finding that inner strength to keep going, even when the odds are against you. It's about believing in yourself and your ability to overcome whatever challenges come your way. And sometimes, it's about taking things one day at a time, one step at a time, until you reach the other side. In closing, remember that setbacks are a natural part of life. They don't define you, but how you respond to them does. Embrace the challenge, learn from the experience, and use it as a stepping stone to greater success. You have the power to overcome any obstacle and emerge stronger than before. Thank you for tuning in to Empower and Elevate podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone who might need a little encouragement. And as always, keep pushing forward, stay positive, and continue to empower and elevate yourself and those around you. Until next time, I'm Marc Thomas. Take care and stay resilient.